It's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fall. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
The common facts. I mean, they have a majority in the House, and therefore you need their vote, and they want to get certain things. I will tell you this. If you look at before and after, the things they had in there were crazy. They had things, levels of voting that if you ever agreed to it, you'd never have a Republican elected in this country again. They had things in there about, election days and what you do and all sorts of clawbacks. And they had things that were just totally crazy.
Clawbacks in voting. Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday. Tuesday is what it is. It's probably a nasty day if you're up or down the eastern seaboard. We're done with Isaias, as you know. It was nothing. The weather is worse today than it was during Isaias. Just letting you know. It's probably coming your way, too. Anyway, this is the real reason Donald Trump does not want people voting by mail. Making voting easier, in his mind, means people will choose anybody but him. This is apparently what he's been thinking for a really long time. That is an old clip, speaking in the Trump era where every day is 4 years, right? So that happened, back in May when the Democrats first came up with the CARES Act. The CARES Act. Actually, it predates May. The CARES Act that we have now that the Democrats put up in May, that's round 2 of the unemployment insurance. Just so you know, in case you're without, in case you've been starved of your $600 check and you're wondering what's going on, answer, nothing. Nothing is going on. No progress. The stimulus bill is absolutely nowhere at all. Now, the only conclusion I can come up with is Mitch McConnell is trying to time it so that when they finally agree to something, if you're able to hang on by your fingernails to your apartment or your home, if you're able, and then they come up with something like, I don't know, $400 instead of $600 or $200 instead of $600, they'll make it retroactive and you'll get a check for all of these weeks that you went without. That's if you can hang on by your fingernails for however long Mitch McConnell would like you to wait and then say, see, we paid you. It's all I can think of. It's all I can, there's no plan whatsoever. And the hitch in the get along has nothing to do with divided government. It has nothing to do with Democrats versus Republicans. It has to do with Republicans versus Republicans. Like I keep telling you, and the only way, to bigly, strongly, forcefully, quickly get you to hold this thought in your head for any time you get into a sort of discussion with a cult member, you have to keep saying the same damn thing over and over to all of them. The 20 Republicans who are not on the ballot this time don't think Donald Trump is worth the investment in you. But Mitch McConnell is on the ballot, and that's why Mitch McConnell keeps sounding as if he would like to get some money to you. He'd like to get something out the door. The truth is, they don't have a plan. They never had a plan. They've had months to have a plan. The CARES Act, as you know, when round 1 expired, it was in the original bill that it would expire now. And they knew this. And then the House took it upon themselves, the Democrats did, to pass another CARES Act to pick up where that one would leave off if the pandemic was like a wildfire out of control. And guess what? The pandemic is like a wildfire out of control. But the Republicans did not negotiate. The Republicans did not come together around an idea. The Republicans did not write down an idea. The Republicans did not share an idea or they have nothing. They have nothing. And now they seem to be interested in something, but what that is, nobody knows. No, they haven't told anybody, including Nancy Pelosi. They haven't told anybody what they want to do.
What do you say to those 30 million Americans who are now without federal unemployment help?
Well, I say to them, talk to President Trump. He's the one who is standing in the way of that. We have been for the $600. They have a $200 proposal, which does not meet the needs of America's working families. And it's a condescension, quite frankly, because they're saying, really don't need it. They're just staying home because they make more money at $600. So the idea that they made a proposal is really not actually factual.
House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer was asked this week if you might be willing to settle for a smaller amount than the $600 in federal aid to the unemployed. And he said to say that it's $600 or nothing, no, that is not what we are. So anything less than $600 is not a deal breaker?
No, the fact is that the amount of money that is given as an enhancement for unemployment insurance should relate to the rate of unemployment.
Right. And as unemployment decreases, so would the amount of the enhanced unemployment. See what I mean? Anyway, the jobless aid expired. The eviction protection has expired. Trump has sidelined himself in the stimulus talks. He is not involved in them because he is a lazy SOB who doesn't care about anything or anyone except himself. And the Republicans can't agree because the ones who aren't on the ballot don't think you're worth the investment because that would help Donald Trump. And they're not interested in helping Donald Trump. They're not. They're trying to divorce themselves from Donald Trump after long last. The other issue that's dividing the Republicans these days is voting by mail. Republicans like voting by mail. In fact, they know how to put fraud into voting by mail. The only fraud that we're aware of that happened through mail-in ballots, absentee ballots, happened with a Republican candidate hiring a Republican operative to go to elderly and older black voters in North Carolina, harvest their ballots, collect their ballots, tell them that they didn't even have to fill them out. They would fill them out for them, so they didn't even have to bother, and sign the envelope, and they would take care of the rest. Well, the safety net with regard to mail-in fraud is so good that they got caught doing that. They got caught. Now, as I told you, the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank, Loyola University, and many others, the Bush Foundation, they've all looked into mail-in ballot fraud. The Heritage Foundation has a nice, simple number. 207 instances of mail-in ballot fraud over 38 years of mailing it in, of absentee voting, which is the same. Everybody that has looked at it, 99.9999% accuracy. No fraud. 0.0027% fraud in 38 years. All right. You know what no one is talking about? In-person voting problems. In-person voting machines. Flipping votes. Being given a provisional ballot. Hacking into the machines. 8-hour lines, fewer polling places. Why won't they talk about that? RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.